Evelyn Moore had been married to Adrian Blackwood for 7 long years, and through every single one of those years, he had been entangled with another woman. It was never a fleeting affair, never a one-time mistake, but a constant shadow in their marriage, a secret flame he kept alive outside their home. When Evelyn finally became pregnant, Adrian severed all ties with Lily Hart, the young woman who had clung to his side for so long, and he returned to his family. He cooked for Evelyn, prepared every meal with his own hands, and never missed a prenatal checkup, as though he wanted to rewrite their history and start again. But the illusion shattered on the day Lily married someone else. In front of everyone, Adrian lost control. His composure stripped away as he rushed forward and snatched the bride from the altar. They embraced, their faces lit up with pure joy, as if the universe had finally corrected a terrible mistake and reunited two lovers who were never meant to be apart. Evelyn could only laugh bitterly at herself, and the next day she walked into a hospital and signed the papers to end her pregnancy. By the time Adrian rushed to the hospital, the procedure was already complete. Evelyn handed him the divorce papers, her fingers steady, though her heart trembled. His eyes reddened instantly, his voice broken. "Evelyn, if you gave up our child, does that mean you're giving up on me too?" She closed her eyes, her voice calm but heavy with finality. "Adrian, it's been 7 years. I should have given up on you a long time ago." The doctor asked again if she was absolutely certain about terminating the pregnancy. Evelyn nodded, her resolve unshaken, but at that moment her phone lit up. It was a message from Adrian written hours before. "Baby, my business trip ended early. I'll be home tonight. Are you happy? I know you've been struggling with nausea while I was away. Tell me what you want for dinner. I'll cook. Or maybe we can go out. There's a new steakhouse near campus. Everyone says it's amazing." Another message followed. "Why aren't you answering? Are you asleep or just too tired? This little guy is giving you such a hard time, isn't he? When he comes out, I'll spank him for making his mom suffer so much." Each word was filled with tenderness, each line brimming with the kind of fatherly excitement and devotion Evelyn had once prayed for. Since she had become pregnant, her body had been ravaged by morning sickness, her appetite destroyed, yet Adrian had taken it upon himself to cook 3 full meals every day. He accompanied her to every appointment, insisted on hearing the heartbeat, on watching the screen, telling her he wanted to be present for every moment of their child's growth. To anyone else, he looked like the perfect husband, the perfect father-to-be. But who could have imagined that this same man would crash another woman's wedding, declare undying love, and embrace Lily Hart in front of a cheering crowd? Could he have thought of his wife then, standing in the shadows? Could he have remembered the child who had yet to see the light of day? The phone kept flashing, buzzing with his affection, but Evelyn turned it face down. She drew in a deep breath, looked at the doctor, and whispered, "Yes, I don't want this baby anymore." The doctor scheduled her admission for the following day, and she returned home. The moment she opened the door and slipped off her shoes, Evelyn fell into a pair of strong, familiar arms. Adrian's deep, magnetic voice rumbled above her head. "It's only been 5 days, but I missed you so much. Did you and the baby miss me too?" Before she could respond, his hand brushed her cheek and his lips pressed against hers. Once she would have melted into his embrace, craving his warmth and passion. Now her body stiffened, her instincts pushing him away. He noticed her hesitation, displeasure flickering in his eyes, and tightened his hold, deepening the kiss as if to reclaim her. The scent of cedarwood clung to his suit, mingling with a delicate sweetness of pear. That fragrance pulled her back to the image that haunted her, the sight of Adrian yesterday, drenched in rain, holding Lily Hart close, kissing her like a man starved for air. She could still hear his words, full of longing and regret. "Lily, I almost lost you. Never again. We will never be apart, not ever." In his arms stood Lily Hart, the delicate songbird he had sheltered for 7 years. After their supposed breakup, they had returned to one another as though fate had scripted their reunion. Evelyn remembered the tears streaming down Lily's face, the way she sobbed like a fragile flower drenched in rain pounding at Adrian's chest. "Why did you only come now, just a little later, and I would have belonged to someone else?" They kissed beneath the storm, oblivious to the world, the perfect protagonists of a tragic love story. The crowd erupted with cheers and camera flashes immortalizing their embrace, as if it were the grand finale of some epic romance. And Evelyn, she was nothing more than the forgotten wife in the corner of the frame. Invisible, discarded her existence, erased by the spectacle of a man and his mistress, celebrating their so-called destiny. And me, Evelyn Moore, his wife of 7 years, was nothing more than a shadow lingering at the edge of their perfect picture. A silent spectator forced to watch them bask in the glow of a love story that was never meant for me. The thought of Adrian holding Lily yesterday and holding me today twisted my stomach into violent knots. Nausea surged so fast that I had to clutch my chest, fighting the urge to collapse. Adrian caught me instantly, his face lined with worry, his voice low and desperate. "What's wrong? Are you all right?" I pushed his hand away with as much composure as I could manage and forced a strained smile. "Didn't you say there was a new steakhouse you wanted to try?" "I suddenly feel like steak." Relief washed over him as he smoothed a hand over my hair, smiling gently. "Anything you want." He took me to the little steakhouse near the university, a place far below the polished elegance that had always defined him. He chose a seat by the window, ordered 2 plates, one well done for me, one rare for himself. When the food arrived, he carefully cut my steak into bite-sized pieces, removing every tendon as if I were too delicate to manage it on my own. "You shouldn't eat anything undercooked while pregnant," he reminded softly. The waiter nearby smiled with admiration. "Your husband is so good to you, ma'am, so thoughtful." I smiled faintly but said nothing, watching Adrian across the table. My mind wouldn't let go of the truth I knew too well. Adrian never ate beef, never touched raw food. Years ago, Chloe had returned from Japan with a prize cut of bluefin tuna to make sashimi for him. He had looked at it with disdain, dumped it into the trash without a taste, and told me coldly, "Evelyn, I don't eat raw food." After all these years, how could you not know that? Yet here he was, now chewing rare steak with ease as if it were his favorite. The dim interior, the cracked leather booths, the cheap string lights. This wasn't his world. He was a man of tailored suits and 5-star dining. The only explanation was Lily. Steak was her favorite, and this was the very place he had brought her to countless times. For her, he had learned to cook, to soften his edges, to behave like a man in love. Every change I once thought he made for me had really been for her. Would he have ever come back to me if I hadn't gotten pregnant? Or would he have stayed with her, hidden in the comfort of stolen moments? The answer tore through my chest like glass. As the ache spread inside me, Adrian's phone lit up. His eyes flickered and a small, unguarded smile crossed his lips. I asked casually, "What's making you so happy?" He looked up, his expression still tinged with the warmth he hadn't meant for me to see, then laughed it off. "Just a cute video of a kitten. If you like, once the baby comes, we can adopt one." I made a non-committal sound and after a moment asked softly, "The night is beautiful. Will you go watch the ocean with me?" For a second he looked startled, then almost immediately shook his head. "I can't. There's still work waiting." But I knew he had just come back from a trip and there was no urgent business. My hands trembled as I opened my phone beneath the table, scrolling through my feed. A familiar profile picture of a golden kitten appeared at the top of my screen. The caption made my chest tighten. "Tonight he's taking me to see the blue tears." Adrian drove me home, unaware that as soon as he left I followed. He didn't know I had long ago traced every thread of his lies. Lily Hart was a modest love blogger, not famous, but not invisible either. Her profile picture was the same kitten she and Adrian had raised together. That tiny animal had been the key that unlocked everything. I remembered clearly the first time suspicion pierced me. He was away on a business trip and I called him on video. Adrian had always disliked pets, but in the background of that call, A golden kitten waddled past its tail, unusually short, clearly once injured. The image stuck with me. "Where did that cat come from?" I asked lightly. He barely looked back. "A coworker's cat. Don't worry about it." His dismissal only sharpened my curiosity. Later, while scrolling absent-mindedly online, I stumbled upon a video featuring the exact same kitten, its stubby tail unmistakable. The account belonged to Lily Hart, her display picture featuring that same golden fluff. At first, I had only wanted to watch more clips of the kitten, but as I clicked deeper, I started noticing something else. At first, it was just the edge of a sleeve, the flash of a watch, the back of a man who looked painfully familiar. Then it became clear, two hands entwined on Valentine's Day. A reflection in the mirror at a hotel, and finally a photo of them on a bed, lips pressed together in a kiss that confirmed everything. The account belonged to a blogger named White Lily, and the profile picture was the very same kitten with the stubby tail. There was no doubt she was its owner, and no doubt she was Adrian Blackwood's mistress. I clicked into her page at first only curious to see more of the cat, but the deeper I scrolled, the more my chest tightened. At first it was just hints, a sleeve in the corner of a frame, the glint of a familiar watch. Then it became unmistakable, the outline of his back, the clasp of their hands on Valentine's Day, and finally the photograph that left no room for denial. The two of them lying on a bed kissing, her caption soaked in intimacy. I scrolled further back, almost punishing myself with the truth. 7 years ago, around the time Adrian had married me and taken over Blackwood Corp, there was Lily Hart, still a university student, posting about the day he came to give a lecture on campus. She had written, "Working hard to get closer to Mr. Blackwood." From there began her pursuit, relentless and bold, the love-struck devotion of a young girl, chasing her untouchable idol. Suddenly, every holiday, every anniversary he had missed, every unexplained absence had an answer. He had been with her. 2 months ago, their fairy tale had supposedly ended. Lily posted for weeks, lamenting heartbreak, sharing melancholy quotes, pictures of sunsets and rain. And then, almost overnight, the sadness vanished. She announced she was getting married. The wedding, of course, had been yesterday, the one Adrian had torn apart. Pinned to the top of her page was a photo of two clasped hands, matching rings gleaming on their fingers, with the words, "For the rest of our lives, we will never be apart again." And just hours ago, another update appeared. The blue tears kept their promise. Like the galaxy etched across the sea, so are you. Congratulations on our reunion. From a distance, I had watched them embrace, kiss under the starlit sky, so long and so tender that the world faded around them. When at last they walked away hand in hand, I could only smile bitterly and turn back alone. The home Adrian and I had once chosen together greeted me with silence colder than ever. I packed quietly for the hospital, taking only what I would need. It was nearly dawn by the time I finished. Adrian still hadn't returned. The last message he had sent over an hour earlier was that he wouldn't be coming home that night. Before my pregnancy, it was a common occurrence, his absences stretching into entire nights, sometimes weeks. But since his supposed breakup with Lily, he had stayed by my side except for trips that truly required travel. That sudden warmth had been intoxicating, and I had allowed myself to believe again. And that perhaps was the cruelest part of all. When we grow used to care and tenderness, the return of indifference becomes unbearable. "Why did you give me hope, Adrian, only to crush me beneath it?" I pulled out the ultrasound photo, tracing the outline of the tiny body within me. The little arms, the little legs. Tears streamed unchecked down my face. 3 months. 3 months of waiting, of protecting, of hoping. "My baby," I whispered, "it's not that I don't want you. But if you come into this world without your father's love, your childhood will never be happy." I set down the note on the kitchen counter, simple and cold. Went away with Chloe for a few days. Don't look for me. With my suitcase in hand, I stepped outside the cab, pulling away from the curb. Through the rear window, the apartment shrank into the distance, and I wondered if Adrian would ever realize that tonight was his last chance to keep me, to keep our child. By the time he did, it would be too late. The next time we saw each other, it would be to sign the divorce papers. Morning came with a gray stillness. At the hospital, as I checked in, I ran into Dr. Margaret Collins, the woman who had guided me through years of treatments, injections, endless rounds of medication, all to prepare for this pregnancy. She smiled warmly, her face glowing with genuine happiness. "Congratulations, Evelyn. After all the shots, all the pills, all the years of waiting, you finally made it. 3 months already, isn't it?" Adrian must be thrilled. Her joy sliced through me. I placed a trembling hand over my belly and forced a faint smile. "Yes, 3 months." Dr. Collins's eyes brightened even more. 3 months is a safe stage now. The baby is stable. You've been blessed." She hadn't yet seen the admission papers in my other hand. 3 months means the baby is stable now, Dr. Margaret Collins said warmly, her eyes shining with encouragement. But then her gaze shifted, catching the admission papers clutched in my hand. Her brows furrowed immediately. "Why are you checking in? Are you not feeling well? Do you need help?" The genuine concern etched across her face made my nose sting with the pressure of unshed tears. I swallowed them down and shook my head. "Dr. Collins, the truth is, I'm here to terminate the pregnancy." Her eyes widened, her voice nearly breaking. "Terminate? Why on earth would you want to do that? Is the baby not healthy?" I forced a small bitter smile. "No, it's not the baby. It's me." She exhaled heavily, disappointment and sorrow painting her expression. "Evelyn, this child was not easy to come by. You've been here for 7 years, preparing, fighting, enduring every shot, every pill. I remember when you first came to me hand in hand with your husband, so determined. You know as well as I do, this might be your only chance, and you want to throw it away? Does Adrian even know?" I shook my head silently. Her eyes softened with painful understanding, her hand pressing gently to my shoulder. "My dear, if your parents were alive to see this pain, it would break their hearts. Any mother or father would want to tear apart the man who left their daughter like this." My throat tightened. But I had no parents to defend me. Adrian was the only family I had left in this world. At 18, when I lost both mother and father, he had been my warmth. At 21, he gave me a home. Through the years, as his empire grew, he had grown colder, more distant. Still, I had never blamed him. I had only wondered if a child might anchor his heart, might warm the icy mansion we shared. And for a brief, fleeting moment, I thought I had been right. I would never forget the day I told him I was pregnant, the way his joy burst out of him, like light breaking through storm clouds. He had lifted me into his arms, spun me around his laughter, shaking with tears. "Evelyn, my love, I have never been happier. I'm going to be a father. I will never forget the hope that flooded me when he cut off contact with Lily Hart, believing it was for our baby, for us, for the family we could be. But I was wrong. I was so terribly wrong. Infidelity is not a mistake you make once, it's a choice you keep making over and over until there is nothing left to forgive." The moment Adrian chose to slip back into Lily's world, our future shattered. I knew how precious this pregnancy was. I knew how many injections had pierced my skin, how many pills had burned in my throat, how many hours I had spent running from one test to another. I remembered the disdainful looks from Adrian's parents, their veiled contempt whenever my treatments failed. And yet none of that mattered now. I could not tether myself to a mistake simply because of this child. Before I could be a mother, I needed to be myself again. I thought Adrian would realize I was gone, that he would call, that he would come. But 3 days passed in the hospital, and my phone remained silent. He had not gone home, had not seen the note I left behind. For 3 days he had chosen elsewhere. Lily had returned, and Adrian had become once more the cold, distant man the world knew as the formidable Mr. Blackwood. "Room 12, these are your pills for today." The nurse handed me 3 small white tablets. Misoprostol. I placed them on my tongue, swallowing quietly, my hands trembling. The nurse reminded me to walk afterward to help the medicine do its work. My baby's heartbeat echoed in my memory as I drifted down the sterile halls waiting for the pain to come. As I turned a corner, my eyes froze. Two familiar figures appeared in the distance, arm in arm, my husband. The man who had not called, not searched, not cared for 3 endless days, was here escorting another woman. Lily Hart's face was delicate, painted with sorrow, her eyes shimmering with tears. She clung to him with practiced fragility. Adrian. I didn't mean to upset you. You're only angry because you're too strong, too intense. Please don't be mad at me anymore. Adrian pressed a hand to his temple, his patience fraying his voice taut with restraint. Lily, you've gone too far this time. You know my wife is Lily this time. You've gone too far. You know my wife is Adrian didn't even finish a sentence before Lily's tears streamed down her cheeks. With a trembling voice, she threw herself into his arms. Adrian, please don't leave me. I'm just so afraid. Afraid you'll walk away from me again. He sighed, his arms instinctively circling her waist, his face softening, his tone turning gentle. As long as you don't stir up trouble with Evelyn, I won't leave you. Lily nodded quickly, obedient on the surface, but her eyes betrayed something restless, a shadow of defiance. She wiped her tears, gripped his hand with both of hers, shaking it like a child begging. Adrian, I want to go to Disneyland. We can't get married, but at least let me have a honeymoon just one day. It won't interfere with your wife's checkup tomorrow. Please, just one day. Adrian chuckled and brushed his finger along her nose in playful affection. All right, tomorrow. Tomorrow was supposed to be the day he went with me to register my prenatal records, a milestone for our child. I laughed bitterly to myself. I had thought I no longer cared, but the sight of them together ripped through me all the same. A sharp ache bloomed low in my abdomen, dull at first, then sharper. I realized the medication was taking effect. I lowered myself onto a bench, clutching my belly as pain racked through me. My whole body trembled, cold sweat soaking my back. When the wave passed, I lifted my head and found Lily standing before me, her face lit up with a smile, as if nothing in the world could tarnish her joy. My boyfriend went to get the car. Mind if I sit? She asked sweetly, not waiting for an answer before dropping onto the seat beside me. Tilting her head, her eyes gleaming, she introduced herself with deliberate clarity. First time we've met, I'm Lily Hart, Adrian's girlfriend. She emphasized the word girlfriend, savoring it like poison on her tongue. Adrian and I have been together 7 years. You must know that, right? You should also know that for all these years, Valentine's, New Year's Eve, even the night of your 7th wedding anniversary, he was with me. And you were the one crying, calling, begging for him to come home. Pathetic. She giggled, her beautiful eyes glinting with ambition. You're tough, I'll give you that. If it were me, I would have given up my place a long time ago. I turned my head toward her, forcing myself to stay upright, though the cramps cut deeper with every second. My voice was ice. Are you finished? If so, then leave. This is a hospital. Who are you to tell me to go? She shot back, her voice rising. I arched a brow, my lips curving in a faint mocking smile. You talk so much because deep down, you know you'll never be more than the other woman. Until the divorce is signed, you will always be nothing but a mistress. Her face flushed with rage. She shot to her feet, glaring down at me, stamping her heel like a spoiled child. The only reason he looks at you at all is because of that baby. If you didn't have it, he wouldn't give you a second glance. And guess what? I'm preparing to get pregnant myself. Once I do, Adrian will divorce you without hesitation. Her words blurred as another vicious cramp tore through me. My vision darkened, sound slipping away. Hot liquid gushed from me, soaking the seat beneath. My strength gave out and I collapsed against the bench, my body no longer able to hold on. Out of the corner of my dimming sight, I saw Lily's face, pale, her mouth moving in frantic denial. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Then she turned and fled, not daring to look back. I sank into unconsciousness, and in that haze, voices swirled around me. White coats, green scrubs, chaos pressing in. Too much blood. She's hemorrhaging badly. Call Dr. Collins now. Emergency. Through the storm, a familiar voice broke through. No longer calm, but desperate, almost trembling. Dr. Margaret Collins gripped my hand, her composure shattered. Evelyn, Evelyn, can you hear me? I fought to open my eyes, but my lids were iron, impossible to lift. I tried to raise my hand to answer, but my body would not obey. Her voice clung to me as the darkness dragged me under. Stay with me, sweetheart. Don't sleep. We'll save you, I swear it. I wanted to lift my hand to let them know I could still hear, but my body betrayed me. My arms felt like stone, too heavy to move. Dr. Collins's voice cut through the chaos, again urgent, commanding. Get her into the OR now. Stay with me, Evelyn. Don't sleep. Fight. I'll save you. The gurney wheels clattered against the floor as they rushed me into surgery. Warmth was leaving me fast, pouring out in unstoppable waves. Clamp it, someone barked. We're losing too much. Another voice answered grimly. Blood loss is over 2 liters. Open her up. Prepare to ligate the uterine arteries cross-stitch. Minutes passed like lifetimes. The shrill alarms of the monitors screamed overhead, the anesthesiologist's voice breaking. She's lost 3,500 milliliters already. She's in shock. More lines were hooked into my veins, hands pressing, voices snapping orders. The bleeding won't stop. She's crashing. Where is her family? Who brought her in? She's alone. Then find her husband. Now. If we don't transfuse, she won't make it. But we need a donor card to release blood. Where's Adrian Blackwood? Call him. In my fading consciousness, I could only think bitterly. Adrian was probably on his way to Disneyland with Lily Hart. The chaos swirled around me. Call again. No answer. Keep calling. This is his wife's life. My strength drained with every beat of my failing heart. My body no longer belonged to me. Just before the blackness consumed me entirely, I heard his voice, raw and panicked, cutting through everything. Adrian, Evelyn, Evelyn, he sounded desperate, terrified. But the darkness pulled me under. The steady beep of machines pierced the void. His voice came again this time, sharp with rage, echoing through the sterile room. Why the hell was she given an abortion? Who authorized this without me? Who gave you the right to touch my wife? Why wasn't she stabilized before she bled this much? She's in your hospital and you let her nearly die. You killed my child. I'm Adrian Blackwood, CEO of Blackwood Corp. I swear I'll bring this hospital down. He fired questions one after another, his fury painting him as a devoted husband to anyone listening. But the truth was different, and every doctor there knew it. They had all been in that operating room fighting to save me. One finally snapped his voice tight with restrained anger. Mr. Blackwood, calm down. Without the mother's written consent, we cannot administer termination drugs. The signature was hers, not ours. Silence fell for a moment, then came his laugh, loud, harsh, manic. Her signature. Do you expect me to believe that Evelyn loves me too much to ever do this? She's been fighting for this baby for 7 years. Do you know how many injections she endured, how many pills she choked down, just to carry this child? And you want me to believe she walked in here and signed it away? Impossible. Papers rustled. I heard a doctor hand something to him. My form. The consent with my name written clearly at the bottom. His breath hitched, then exploded into a roar. No, you forged this. The rip of paper tore the air as he shredded the document into confetti. He grabbed a doctor by the collar, his voice cracking with disbelief. She would never. Do you hear me? Evelyn would never give up our child. You forged it, and I'll see every last one of you punished. I wanted to scream to tell him the truth, that it wasn't them, it was me. That I was the one who couldn't bear to bring our child into this broken marriage. But my body was limp, unresponsive. All I could hear was the brutal sound of Adrian's fist landing against the doctor's, each blow fueled by his denial. His rage, his refusal to accept the truth. Then a familiar voice cut through the chaos, firm and cold. "Adrian Blackwood, stop right now. If you don't, I'll call the police." At the sound of it, 2 hot tears escaped the corners of my eyes. Chloe Anderson, my dearest friend. She stormed into the room, seized Adrian's arm, and shoved him back with a force that startled even him. Her kick landed squarely against his shin. "How dare you blame these doctors? Do you even understand why Evelyn wanted to end this pregnancy? Let me enlighten you. It's because she has known about your affair for years. You're a liar, a cheat. You never loved her, never cared for her. Why didn't you let her go sooner, instead of breaking her piece by piece?" Adrian staggered, her words slicing him deeper than any physical blow. Whatever hope had lingered in his chest flickered and died. Chloe, still shaking with fury, struck him again with her words. If I'd been a minute later, Evelyn would be dead. Dead Adrian. When she was bleeding out, desperate for blood. "Where were you? Tell me." His eyes darkened. His body stilled the truth, exposing him in silence. The room went quiet, except for the steady beep of the heart monitor. From my parched throat, a faint hoarse whisper escaped. He was with Lily. Both Adrian and Chloe lunged toward me at once, voices overlapping. "You're awake, Evelyn, sweetheart?" "Evelyn, are you all right?" But I turned my gaze only to Chloe, ignoring Adrian as though he were air. "You came back," I murmured. "From Japan," she nodded, tears in her eyes, her hand gripping mine tightly. She looked pale, weakened from donating blood for me, but her expression was fierce. "Yes. I couldn't stay away knowing you needed me. God, Evelyn, I was terrified. For a moment I thought I'd lost you forever." I squeezed her hand with what little strength I had left. My voice gentle. "Don't cry, I'm still here. We promised each other we'd be best friends for life." After comforting her, my eyes finally shifted to the man. Standing just behind her, frozen like a guilty shadow. Adrian Blackwood. The sound of his name snapped him to life. He shoved Chloe aside and rushed to my bedside. His eyes glistening, his face a mask of contrition. "I'm here, my love. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. From this moment forward, I swear I'll never leave your side. I'll cut all ties with Lily. I'll delete her number now. Just please, Evelyn, let me make this right." A wave of revulsion rose in my throat. My voice cracked, but it was steady with contempt. "Don't call me your wife. It makes my skin crawl." He froze as if struck. "What?" His voice cracked with disbelief. "Evelyn, you disgust me." I spat, my eyes locking onto his. I watched the last sliver of hope die in his eyes, saw despair swallow the man who once thought he was untouchable. He looked immaculate, dressed in a pale pink suit. He had chosen, no doubt, for the day he intended to spend at Disneyland with his lover. From 18 to 28 time, had only sharpened his handsomeness, his charisma, making him more polished, more magnetic. And me, 10 years of my life, had been chained to him. My heart tethered to his every whim, my happiness dictated by his moods, my identity eroded by fear and insecurity. I would not live that way another day. I pulled from beneath my blanket the divorce papers I had prepared long ago and placed them in his trembling hands. "Adrian Blackwood, I want a divorce." The color drained from his face. He swayed, nearly collapsing, his eyes flooding red as broken sobs tore from his chest. "Evelyn, you gave up our child, and now you want to give up on me too." I closed my eyes, my voice steady but filled with exhaustion. "Adrian, it's been 7 years. I should have walked away long ago. If I had known you were unfaithful from the start, I would never have wasted this much of my life. You thought you were clever hiding your double life, thinking you could wave the flag of family while chasing every temptation outside. Let me be clear. Lily has posted everything online, every moment you two spent together. The whole world can see it now. If Adrian had come home in those last few days, he would have seen the note I left on the kitchen counter and realized I was gone. Maybe then he could have stopped me. Maybe he could have saved our baby. But he hadn't, and now it was too late. His entire body trembled. as he clutched the divorce papers in his hands, shaking his head again and again, tears streaking down his face. He sounded like a child caught in the wreckage of his own mistakes, repeating the same desperate plea. "Forgive me. Please, Evelyn, forgive me. I won't divorce you," he cried. "I'll cut Lily off. I swear this time, I'll end it once and for all. Just give me one chance to make it right." I shook my head slowly with finality. "No, stop, Adrian. I don't want this anymore. Even when I knew you were unfaithful, when I saw you crawl back to me because of the baby, I let myself believe for a moment that we had a chance. I was even happy. But you thought loving your mistress and loving your family could exist side by side, didn't you? You thought they didn't conflict. You were wrong, and I'm done. My patience is gone." I exhaled, my voice hollow with exhaustion. "Go over the settlement agreement. If it looks fair, sign it. Let's end this quietly." But suddenly Adrian snapped. His anguish twisted into mania. With a growl, he ripped the divorce papers into shreds, pieces fluttering to the floor like dying leaves. He seized me in a crushing embrace, his voice nearly deranged. "I will not let you leave me. Whatever I owe you, I'll repay every meal, every night, every drop of blood if I have to. I'll cook for you every day. I'll stay by your side every night. I'll bleed for you just to keep you with me." Before I could push him away, another voice intervened, sharp and commanding. "That's enough. I'll handle her care. If you want to help, call a nurse. Otherwise, you're only making her recovery worse." His eyes darkened dangerously, the cold gleam of defiance flashing across them. He opened his mouth to argue, but then froze when a television blaring from the corner of the room caught his ear. A glossy entertainment broadcast was mid-report. Breaking news. Adrian Blackwood, CEO of Blackwood Corp, spotted in a secret romance with social media influencer Lily Hart. Rumor has it the pair have rekindled an old flame. A fairy tale story of a domineering CEO falling in love. The words dripped with irony. Adrian's jaw clenched, but I allowed myself a small bitter smile. "Seems you won't have time for me anymore, Mr. Blackwood. Oh, and one more thing before I hemorrhaged, the last person I saw was Lily." Later that night, Adrian stormed to the Malibu beach house where Lily was staying. The moment he stepped through the door, she flung herself against him from behind her arms, clutching him desperately. "Adrian, you came back. Do you know how scared I was left alone thinking you'd abandon me?" But this time he didn't embrace her. He peeled her arms off and walked toward the window, staring at the endless stretch of ocean beyond. He hated the sea. The salt air, the damp wind, the crashing surf that rattled the windows at night, it all kept him from sleeping. He had never wanted a house by the water. And yet here it was, the house he bought 5 years ago at the peak of the market, a house he filled with Lily and their illusion of love. He tried to remember why. Why had he chosen this house of all places? The memory came back in fragments. A girl once told him she loved the sound of the waves, that it reminded her of childhood evenings, when her parents returned from fishing and held her on the seawall to watch the tides rise and fall. She said she wanted a home by the ocean one day, a place filled with love. That girl wasn't Lily. It had been Evelyn. The house wasn't for Lily at all. It had been for me. But instead of giving it to me, he had placed another woman here, letting her fill the rooms with laughter and perfume, until every corner reeked of betrayal. The couple who sold him the home had celebrated their golden anniversary before emigrating to live near their son. They'd told him this house had been built on love, and they hoped its next owners would carry that legacy forward. Adrian had sealed the deal with one simple line. "My wife loves the sea." He had meant me, Evelyn. And yet I had never once stepped foot inside. Now standing at the window, watching the waves crash against the shore, he realized what he had done. He had destroyed not just me, but everything this house was meant to symbolize. Many had wanted that Malibu beach house, but Adrian only had to utter one sentence. "My wife loves the ocean," and the sellers agreed. That memory struck him like lightning. It wasn't Lily who loved the sea, it was Evelyn. The house had been meant for her, yet he had let another woman occupy it, let her stain it with perfume and laughter, until it reeked of betrayal. Why, perhaps Because Lily had offered him not love but thrill. He knew her marriage was fake, a sham, and still he had let jealousy consume him, storming her wedding like a madman. He wasn't afraid of losing Lily. He was afraid of losing the intoxicating rush of infidelity. A bitter smile twisted across his face before shattering into madness. He charged out into the garden, only to find barren soil, not a single flower blooming under the blazing summer sun. "Where are they? Where are the flowers?" he roared, grabbing Lily by the jaw, his voice low and dangerous. Her face drained of color, eyes wide with fear as she clawed at his hand for breath. "You said you hated insects," she stammered, trembling, "so I pulled them all up." His grip went slack. The weight of her words crushed him more than any blow. His knees buckled and he fell to the ground, scooping up handfuls of dry soil with shaking hands. Gone. It's all gone. The flowers, the happiness that old couple left here, the legacy they wanted to pass on. It's all dead. And Evelyn, she doesn't need me anymore. I have no home. I have nothing. Shame clawed at his chest until he could hardly breathe. He had betrayed the woman who gave him her youth, who spent 10 years enduring endless treatment shots and prescriptions just to give them a child. He had known her exhaustion, seen her come home every week with bags of medicine, watched her plead with him to keep up their routine on schedule, hoping desperately for a miracle. At first he played along, then the intimacy became mechanical, an obligation, and he recoiled. That was when Lily appeared bold, naive, brimming with the reckless passion of a college girl, and he drowned in her recklessness. The first time he took her to a hotel, he'd hesitated. But he reassured himself just once. Evelyn would never know. And if she did, she loved him too much to leave. One time became years. 7 long years. And he had never imagined Lily would flaunt it all online, that their secret sins would become public spectacle. The realization boiled into rage. Adrian snapped his hand, flying across Lily's face with a violent crack. "This is all your fault. Because of you, I lost my child. I lost everything." He struck her again and again, fury consuming what little humanity he had left. "Why did you expose me? Why torment Evelyn when she was hemorrhaging? Why didn't you call for help? Do you understand? You nearly killed her." His fists and boots rained down each blow, a desperate attempt to transfer his guilt onto her. Lily coughed blood, her body crumpling beneath him, yet she laughed through crimson lips. "Yes, I was the mistress, the dirty secret. But you, Adrian Blackwood, you were the husband. Affairs don't happen with one hand. You let me in. You wanted me. Now you regret it, but it's too late." Her words were knives. He roared and kicked her harder, spitting curses. "You ruined me, you damned parasite!" Her eyes rolled back as another mouthful of blood spilled from her lips. But he didn't stop. Grabbing her by the arm, he dragged her toward his car. Madness blazing in his eyes. "You're coming with me. You'll beg Evelyn for forgiveness. If she doesn't forgive you, I'll never forgive you either." Adrian never made it to the hospital with Lily. There, screaming the blows, the blood it had drawn neighbors and tourists along the Malibu coast. By the time he dragged her outside, patrol cars had surrounded the driveway. Officers rushed forward, guns drawn, as shouts cut through the humid air. "Sir, step away from her. You're under arrest for assault." Reporters had already swarmed, tipped off by Lily's desperate calls. Cameras flashed, capturing the once untouchable CEO as he stood disheveled, covered in another woman's blood. Strangers pointed and whispered. So this is the great Adrian Blackwood, not a powerful husband, but a cheating abuser. Didn't he have a wife in Manhattan? That girl must be the mistress. God, what a scandal. Phones buzzed, hashtags trended, and within hours the internet was merciless. By morning, the empire he had built began to crumble. The stock of Blackwood Corp plummeted, wiping billions off its value in days. Shareholders fled, partners cut ties, and the press relished every headline. The fairy tale of the domineering CEO in love was shattered, replaced by the image of a violent man who had lost control. The medical report was damning. Lily had suffered internal injuries, a ruptured spleen. Prosecutors moved fast. What the world once whispered as gossip was now undeniable fact. Adrian Blackwood had crossed the line from infidelity to violence. His parents, who had worshipped him as the crown jewel of their Boston dynasty, scrambled frantically, calling lawyers, begging judges, even considering pleading with me, the daughter-in-law they had once scorned. But by the time they reached our former apartment, I was long gone. Without Lily's pardon, there was no way out. 1 month later, the gavel came down. Adrian Blackwood, guilty of aggravated assault causing grievous bodily harm, sentenced to 7 years in San Quentin. 7 years, how many more sevens could a person waste? By then my body had healed enough to travel, and I had made my choice. Chloe and I set out to see the world, determined to reclaim the time I had lost. Locked inside a loveless marriage, still before leaving New York, I went to see him one last time. The prison visitation room was cold, sterile, but his eyes burned when he saw me. I slid the divorce papers under the glass partition. This time, he didn't hesitate. With his cuffed hand, he signed his name, the final tie severed. Blackwood Corp. Had collapsed, assets liquidated, everything split evenly. I asked for nothing more. As I rose to leave, his voice cracked and desperate reached for me. Evelyn, if I hadn't cheated, would we have been different? I'm sorry. The night you begged me to see the ocean, I stayed away. The night you bled and needed me, I was gone. I donated blood here inside prison. It can't save you, but maybe it can save someone else. That makes me feel lighter somehow. Evelyn, I truly loved you. The words broke behind the glass, heavy with regret that could never be undone. I didn't turn back. I wouldn't. The path ahead of me shimmered with light and freedom, untouched by chains or betrayal. For the first time in years, I could breathe. The city skyline blurred into a horizon alive with color, and as the sun dipped low, its golden glow kissed my face. I walked forward, leaving his voice behind forever. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next videos.